Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Things Music. I'm Daphne Check here with my constant companion, Jeremy England. How you doing today?
I am doing very good. We're excited to talk about fun music, but you're a little sick, yeah? You got a little...
Yeah. Sorry, listeners. I sound, I sound pretty horrible. I'm going to try not to cough in the mic a lot, but we wanted to record because we hadn't got to record in a while. We didn't want to delay it anymore. But again, I'll apologize to our listeners. I'm a little bit under the weather, and hopefully by next time I'll be even better, and I'll sound like my normal froggy self instead of this deep frog self that I am. But we want to welcome you to today's podcast. We're actually on episode 13, and we're going to talk about polka music today. And this should be a really fun topic because a lot of people really have good feelings about polka music. We actually are doing this one for our coworker Cynthia. This was a while ago. I think it was even early in the school year. I was in a meeting with Cynthia, and she brought up that she listens to us, and then she talked to me a little bit about how much she likes polka, and we should talk about polka music. And so shout outs to Cynthia. We're finally getting around to that polka that she requested a while ago. So hi, Cynthia. I have to admit, I don't know anything about polka, and I truly know very little. I know that it exists, but in terms of my knowledge of it, I just don't have much. And I even put in the show notes, there's in asterisk, hangs head in shame. So I'm very shameful for this, but I don't know much about polka. What about you?
No, you wrote that, and I was like, I am kind of in the similar boat. It's always been kind of like a music that it seems very traditional, right? It seems like it's from Central Europe, and we've talked a lot about how in our college programs, we talk about European music as kind of like the history that we're taught through it. So it seemed like a style we should have covered, but it's not really because it's kind of it's a newer style of music, and it's like kind of a party style of music, which maybe is why we don't cover it. The craziest we get in college is we talk about the minuet dances. You know what I mean? Like those are the party songs that we sing.
The party songs are the minuets. That sounds so ridiculous.
unless you're a vocalist, and then you get to sing like shanties and sea songs. That's like what you go towards. But
those are really fun too, though. Those are super
they are very fun.
Yeah,
and I think polka kind of falls into that same category of just it's a fun style. I don't think it's anywhere on here, but Weird Al says you can't be you can only be happy when you hear polka or something along those lines. Like you can't be sad when you hear polka music. So that's kind of what we're getting into. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Do you have any thoughts? Like, what do you think about when you think of polka music? So you didn't know anything about it, but like you obviously have some images that come to your mind. What are those?
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole, I see the band. Like, if I close my eyes when I'm thinking about polka, I see the band, the instrumentalists and stuff, and I see, like, the shorts, the green shorts and the white shirts kind of look.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with the name of the clothing, so I won't dare to guess. But where I'm originally from Northeast Ohio, a lot of radio stations play polka, particularly my college radio station. One of my college radio stations, they would play polka at noon on Sundays when I was there. Yes. And so that was always like the thing. So I remember it being on the radio. I also think about Oktoberfest. I go to that every year here in Central Ohio. We have a pretty big Oktoberfest. It's always just a fun time to dance and eat a bunch of heavy foods. It's really quite good. And then I often think of Weird Al too, because he does a lot of covers or original songs in a polka style. So those are the things that usually come to mind for me. What about you?
Yeah, we've been watching Family Matters again as a family, and so Steve Urkel always comes to my mind when I think of polka because it's like a thing he does. Same with you, some German festivals and Oktoberfest, and specifically if you're from like that Michigan, Ohio area, if you've ever heard of Frankenmuth, which has Bronner's, the world's largest Christmas store, but it's a little Bavarian village is what they model themselves after. So there's a lot of polka that is going on there. And then actually the very first thing I thought of, for whatever reason, is in the movie Home Alone, when Kevin's mom is like trying to get back to Kevin, she hitches a ride in the back of a box truck. And it's John Candy's character, and he is the Polka King. And it's funny because he's like, "You've never heard of me?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "I'm like the number one selling polka person in the Midwest or whatever." But that's what I think of. And just kind of a fun, I think happy thoughts too. I'm just like, it's a happy style of music. I don't think I've ever been like, I won't like go out of my way to listen to polka music, but I wouldn't be upset if polka music was on there. Like if polka music, I'd be like, "Oh, that's fun."
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think I'm as in this camp anymore, but I went through a phase where I was like, polka's dumb, I hate it, rah, rah, rah. And I don't, it was in my youth, and I don't know if it was just because of it being around me or I was just, being rebellious, like, woohoo, my rebellion was I didn't like polka. but I went through this phase where I just hated polka, but the more I listened to it, I think Weird Al's right that you can't be unhappy listening to polka because there's something very joyous, and probably because a lot of it has to do with the dance stuff, right? And I think that joy just kind of radiates from it. So my hard, crusty edge against polka has slowly been receding.
I'm sure polka will be happy to hear that there is a softening of your heart. I will say that it starts, so let's get into polka a little bit, the history. And I'm going to say this. I was talking with Daphne before. I did not realize that polka, and this might be part of the reason we didn't study it as much in college, is it's like a relatively new genre of music. Like only it's like the mid-1800s does it really come around. And it starts as a dance. Like there's a polka dance. And the music goes along with that because if you need music, if you have a dance, you need music most of the time, I think. So it seems like the more if you type polka into Google, usually you get like polka dots first, and then you might get like a lot of information about the polka dance. And I thought that was interesting because it shows my bias towards music that like I associate polka first with music and not a dance, when in reality it's kind of the opposite. For a lot of the world, polka is a dance before it is music. That kind of makes me think of it's not quite the same thing though, but it kind of reminds me of this phenomenon in Africa. There's a lot of places where music and dance do not have separate names. They're the same word because they're the same. They celebrate them together, and this isn't quite the same thing. But the idea of them they go hand in hand. The music and the dance go hand in hand is really cool because I think music, not dance, for sure. Yeah, and so it was not. What country would you say polka is from before you did the research? Where would you said polka was from?
I would have said Germany.
Yeah, I would have said too, but that's not the case, right?
Not the case. Not the case.
The Czech Republic, one of my favorite countries to say, just because it's so hard. Czech.
Can I just tell you that every time when I was writing in the outline, I was trying to write my last name? Because people assume that I'm from the Czech Republic because of my last name. PSA for the world. My ancestry is actually not from the Czech Republic, but I digress.
Oh my gosh. So it is from the Czech Republic, or specifically, I think a lot of the stuff I was reading is like the Bohemia, right? I think you have that somewhere in here.
Yeah.
So it is not Polish, which I would have probably put in there, or German, but it is certainly from that area. It is. Do you want to try and say these Czech words, or
I'm gonna let you. I would assume though that they're like, okay, the word polka is believed to come from the Czech word polka, meaning half. So, by the way, I'm just gonna say this: it's spelled Pulka, and there's something over the U.
It's not an umlaut. It's like an accent.
Is that It's not an umlaut, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't look like it.
It's like a marcato accent, a little caret.
Yeah, but it does mean the word translates to half, and so it's supposed to refer to these short half steps in the dance. So that's
Yeah.
where the thought is that it's from.
I also saw that polka, and I checked this, and so through translate.google, so the internet, but polka also is supposed to mean Polish woman in Polish. So there is the idea that it is half, but then I saw somebody was writing about like, oh, it might actually, like, it might be about like Polish women or whatever. But if you go type in polka from Polish to English, it is translated the shelf. But if you type in English to Polish, you type in Polish woman, it comes up polka. So who knows? Like that was based on that was from a scholarly paper that I was reading about it. So that's why I trusted it.
Okay.
I wasn't just like some random polka.us.gov. I don't know, com website. This is like a legitimate research paper from USC.
Our serious research for this podcast.
That was a real research. I actually did real research this time.
Oh my god.
Oh no. My gosh.
Okay. So, by the way, everybody, I keep muting myself when I start to cough. So sorry, everybody.
Yeah, you're just gonna hear like the depths of silence from Daphne's side.
Sorry.
It'll seem like nothing is funny except for what I think is funny.
It's okay. That's okay.
Well, since you tried the hard word, which I guess it really wasn't that hard, I'll try this hard name. And so we said started in Bohemia in the 19th century, which is the 1800s in the Czech Republic, or what is now the Czech Republic. And basically, if you're not familiar with Central European areas, like it's like Germany and like the surrounding areas is kind of this Bohemia rough area, getting out towards the east, towards Poland and stuff. But it was a dance started by a woman named Anna. That was the easy part. Anna Chadamova.
I'm going to go with that.
That sounds so good. I like that. But she was dancing to a folk song when her music teacher, Joseph Neruda, noticed her. You wrote that. That's kind of a creepy way to say that he noticed her. He noticed her dancing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. That's what I meant to say. Not like, Lord. Listen, I was trying to succinct the story. Oh my God.
So he taught her to dance. He taught her dance. Let me start this over because I am not reading this correctly. This is off the rails so fast. He taught her dance, the dance that she was dancing, to other locals and notated the tune she was dancing to. So basically, he saw what she was doing, saw her dance, and notated the tune, and then started teaching that to other people, which I think is pretty cool. It's kind of like this guy is basically like a human equivalent of a TikTok. Like TikTok, you teach a dance, you put some music to it, and you share that with the world, and everybody kind of copies it. Well, this is how you did it back in the old days, is somebody would have to, you either taught it yourself to other people or somebody would transcribe it and notate it and teach it to other people. So I thought that was kind of a cool story that this lady just like started dancing, and he's like, I like that. I'm going to teach that to other people.
Yeah, and this really starts to spread around. By 1840, it spreads to Prague, and Vienna, and Paris. Starts really just kind of wildfiring all over Europe. I really love this line. Paris had an actual name for this, and it was Polka Mania. Which, all right, so that just struck my ear. Very funny because I just thought it was interesting that Paris, of all places, would just try and describe something as like crazy or frantic when they're so sophisticated generally, and I just thought that was really funny that they called it Polka Mania.
It's like Beatlemania.
Yeah, it is kind of that way. And then of course it still continues to spread all over Europe, and gets all the way up to London about 4 years later, and then finally gets over here to America around the same time.
Yeah, 1840s roughly, which is kind of like the spread of aristocracy. Is that the right word? I never say that word correctly, but like rich people coming over. Like this is it was a dance taught like to local people, right? Like the locals and commoners, for lack of a better term off the top of my head. But it was music for the people, it was a dance for the people. And then what happens is like people start to notice it, and it starts to get picked up and incorporated in like by classical composers. who put it into their music. And, that spreads then because the rich people get it and they bring it over. And that's how it's able to travel around, it's so funny. You get I was thinking Polka Mania, Beatlemania, but the British invasion, British rock music comes over and rocks America. It is interesting that this cultural movement from Poland, and not Poland, but the Czech Republic and Germany kind of infiltrates Paris, this cultural center of the world.
Absolutely, and I think that's why the French having a specific term for it was so striking to me.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty powerful that they gave it a name.
Yeah. So let's talk about the dance real quick. It's very similar to a dance called the Hopser, which is a German dance in the surrounding area. So that made it very accessible, which was easy for people to pick up on it. I just have to learn a couple different types of steps. It's kind of like the difference of square dancing and line dancing. You already know one, so it's pretty easy to pick up the moves for the next one. This research paper I was reading breaks the dance down into two types. You got regular polka and polka. I am not going to get this word right. Tretziona. Tretziona?
I'm going to try and put in Google Translate.
Nice. So while you do that, it is a very Eastern European word with three consonants right in a row, TRZ, and then a weird E.
Okay. Okay, I got it. Treshona. And it translates in English to shaken.
That's okay. That is good to know because Polka Shaken, so Polka Treshona. So regular polka is danced in a circle. So this is a circle dance by rotating couples who never separate and continue turning around the dance space until one or several male dancers calls for a change of direction. The dance is fast-paced. I think it's about 114 beats per minute, roughly is what the original polka was. The basic step consists of 3 small steps performed in such a way that one foot chases the other. The dancers move smoothly and without interruptions, following the regularity of the music. So regular polka, you kind of glide across the floor. It's not you're not bouncy. So Polka Shaken, that's what I'm gonna call it from now on, are located also in the circle, and they rotate simultaneously around the whole circle and their own axis. And the difference is that instead of the sliding step, the very small steps consist of lifting the feet and placing it down vertically. So kind of like running in place is how I picture this in my mind. The other one, you're sliding. It's very smooth. This one, you lift your feet up and down very fast. And as a result, the dancers shake throughout the dance. So it's kind of like, if you can imagine a circle full of people jumping up and down really fast. That's why it's called the shaken polka.
I really love that it's kind of that way. Let me go back to something you said a minute ago, because I was just thinking about this. And when you talked about the regular polka, you talked about the beats per minute being 114. Is that what you said?
Right. It's like a march, like 111 roughly, I think.
I was just kind of curious, 114, and maybe, it fluctuates. 114 is a not very common metronome marking. You're usually in some kind of 8, so like 112, 120, 128. 36, 136, like you're usually in usually it's separated in 8, right? Because math time, blah, 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 blah. And I was just wondering if there was any specific guidance on why it was those tempo markings.
I don't know, and I'm going to look. I'm looking up right now, so that was off the top of my head. Well, it seems like it was standardized. So for whatever reason, it was that odd time meter. It has standardized to about 120 to 124. So they did pick up on.
They did fluctuate it
a march,
because if musicians, this, 114 would feel weird.
Yeah, it would.
Or 115 would feel weird, because I'm generalizing here, but we as musicians often feel things in that 8 category, like. It's like every other 8, that kind of thing. So I was when you said that, it kind of struck me, because I was like, well, and I wondered if that had to do with the dance, that it felt better in the dance to be at 114. Anyway, I guess I was just nitpicking, but it just got me thinking when you said that.
No, it's an interesting topic, how we do feel that. Like it kind of internalizes it in your life. So That's polka. Then there's like this European style. Well, obviously this is all Europe, but there's another style that is interesting. A dance called the polka mazurka, and it is the polka steps. So that kind of shuffling movement, but they put it into 3/4 time of a mazurka. So when we kind of talk about how polka is put together with the oompa. We're just adding an extra oompa in there. Instead of having 2/4, you have 3/4. So it's a duple meter, or it's a triple meter instead of a duple meter, which does kind of turns it into kind of a waltz. You know, you got kind of like a waltz polka, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, waltz is something we all know, even if you don't know it, because waltz is probably the most common. I'm going to trip on my words here, but waltz is generally the most common 3/4 time type of music. Like non-music people would know 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You'd feel that triple, and you would associate it with a waltz. You see what I'm saying? Like, we all kind of know waltz. Yeah, that's my point.
Well, and any classical era song, really, you're putting like in symphonies, you probably have a waltz in there of some sort, or any dance class, you're like 1, 2. And every time you make fun of a dance class, you're singing a waltz. Really, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So even that's like internalized into everything. So, but yeah, you're right. So European styles, obviously, everything is European, and it kind of gets changed. But really, a big jump kind of comes when it moves over to here in the States, like mid 1800s, right? Like 1840s, you said.
Mm-hmm. 1844 is what Wikipedia says.
Okay. So I thought it was interesting. I was reading there is a bunch of different styles. So you got Polish style, Slovenian style, and there's like a Slavic style of polka, I think. And I was reading this Polish-American paper, and it basically said that every time you talk about like American polka styles, you have to add that kind of American hyphen, like suffix on it, because it's just like it's kind of a different breed of polka music.
Oh, you mean like you have to put hyphen style after?
No, like you can't say like Polish polka. You'd have to say Polish American polka. So you have to put like the American qualifier on it.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Well, that was only in the one paper I said. So this guy he was a Polish scholar, and he was talking about how polka evolved coming over here. And we'll kind of get talking into some of this like identity stuff here in a little bit later. But it is like a different style of polka because it evolves, as everything kind of does as it travels. So if you have like Polish polka in America, it's like Polish American polka because it is like slightly different in their minds.
Okay, so like for example here, if we had Polish American style polka, if we were talking about that, that's how we would say it. Okay, so
that's how he argues you would say it. I don't know. We're very fresh into this polka world, so I don't know how controversial it is to say.
Right.
It's like saying cheese or cheese style product. I don't know if that's how different it is.
Cheese style product. Cheese in a can is obviously as good as a stylized brie.
Right. They're both good, just different purposes.
Yes. And maybe that's exactly the author's point. Exactly. So, and we all, we know that just because of world history, when people came to America, they brought their traditions with them. This happens all the time, all over the world. People take their music with them, right? So the people who came here from the Czech Republic, they got to America and were like, we love our music from the Czech Republic, so we're going to just make it, though, a little bit more American. And that's how we get Polish-American style polka. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And that has a lot of roots in Chicago, which makes sense because America has a lot of this is more instrumental, where it has a trumpet, a clarinet, an accordion, a bass guitar, and I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Schemsnizer? Squeeze box?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, a
Schem,
Chemnitzer. It's probably Nitzer if it's like
probably
German.
Nitzer.
Chemnitzer
Yeah.
or Chemnitzer.
Yeah, see, your German is so better. This is exactly why I always make you say the one word in class that I never can say. And when we teach opera,
What's
yeah,
it
the
called?
G word.
Veskunstwerk.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I always make when we teach this, I always make Jeremy pronounce it for me.
Gestamtskunstwerk. There it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yep.
one of them Wagner terms. Anyway, but yeah, a squeeze box, which literally, if you look up a picture of a squeeze box, it's just a box, and you squeeze it, and there really isn't too much more to say. But it's not quite an accordion. Really know how to say more of that.
It sits on the ground, right? And you kind of like pump it with
so.
your hand. You know, you kind of pump in the back of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. I don't. Again, did I mention that I don't know anything about polka? We're really we were truly learning as we do this.
Yeah.
There's also Slovenian American style polka. I'm trying to do it that way. Which really just emphasizes the piano accordion, the accordion we all know that, you know, it stretches and has the keyboard on the side, but it also has a lot of fast tempos. So really upbeat even compared to the other styles.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. So polka comes over and it has these two big styles. And it was so popular in America, which, you know, Paris had the Polka Mania. United States of America had the Grammys. They started giving out a Grammy for the best recorded polka album. And I thought so they don't do it anymore. It was last given out in 2008.
Did they say why?
They did. They said they wanted to. They cut it because they wanted to keep the Grammys in line with like current musical trends. So basically, it said polka was not as popular as it was before. Was their excuse. And I thought the interesting thing about this is they didn't track sales really. I guess when they started giving this out, they didn't track polka sales. You know, so music has always been tracked as long as they've been selling it, like what's popular and what's not. For whatever reason, polka, I guess, was not really tracked. So they kind of voted on this, and like whoever was in the polka world got to vote for like the best polka recorded album or whatever. That's how they gave it out, which I thought was kind of a unique system and just kind of a real good nod from your peers. You know, it wasn't like how popular you were. It wasn't how connected you were, really. It was more just like, we think you're just the best based on votes from the people in your world.
And hopefully that is how the Grammys operate in a perfect world. I would ask, though, you know, again, I'm not familiar with the Grammys too much myself, but other than I watch them, you know, once a year.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, is there kind of and I hate to use this term, but like a catch-all category where any genre could be nominated based on its quality? You know, maybe polka goes up against, you know, gamelan. You know, maybe they're in that category, but it's like these are the best of their specific fields. And I wonder if the Grammys have either do that or have considered doing that.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. It'd be like, what do they call it in like college, like world music, you know, like anything that's not here.
Yeah, that's what I wonder too, because there's so much. America drives a lot of music in the world, right or wrong. And if we're going to acknowledge them, maybe there's ways we can acknowledge everything. I know that'd be a needle in a haystack situation because there's so many, but some way to be like, you know, everybody puts forth the best of their specific category and that gets, I don't know. I'm speculating and playing devil's advocate here.
You're spitballing here. Maybe we can get somebody from the Grammys on here to pitch our ideas for them.
Get in here, Grammys. Come and defend yourselves to us, because clearly you must.
Explain yourselves.
Get in here. Talk. Oh my gosh, we're going to get hate mail.
Yeah, that's all right.
Oh my goodness.
All media is good media, right? That's what they say. No. Let's talk about musical characteristics, stuff we actually know what we're talking about here.
Maybe.
And understand. So it is written earlier, I said, in a duple meter, so that's 2/4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. That's how you count it, which means which the emphasis is on beats 1 and 2 because there's only 2 of them in a measure. You know,
right?
The focus is on the offbeat, which is So one and. So it's kind of like a what's that word I'm looking for? A jumpy style. That's not the right term I'm looking for. Bouncy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like not settled, but
You're gonna feel it more on the upbeat, and because you do, it does have this almost lighter quality to it. If we think oompa,
yes.
oompa, 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 the pa is the upbeat.
It's
You're feeling
floaty.
it. It's
almost.
floating up there. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is written in ternary or rondo form, but really the important part of that, especially for non-music theory people, is the main idea has to come back around and a few times really. So the main idea does come back, and it's pretty fun stuff. Usually, if you have a big band, it might come around in different instruments, which is kind of cool. And then all those help with dancing as well. Like you listen to the music and you can hear the melodies come around. It can signal different things. What Daphne was just singing, the oompa, is called jumping bass. And what happens on the bass part of it, so the lowest part is bum, 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 bum. And if you know that melody, you're either thinking polka or you're thinking VeggieTales. Bum, 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 if you like to. So that is jumping bass, and it turns into an oompa.
Mm-hmm.
And the in-between of those bass notes is the offbeat. Bum, 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 bum. So there's polka right there.
Just picture a tuba player and sing that.
Yeah.
And you'll probably see in your head the tuba player will like bend their knees. I'm just trying to build a visual, but if you think about it, that'll you'll see it. You'll see it.
Yeah, if you listen to that bass, it's like that gives the rock the solid foundation to it, right? That makes it feel heavy, but that offbeat focus makes it like it. In a musical sense, it almost like pulls these two ends apart, and it stretches the music out a lot, and it like kind of diabolically opposes itself, the downbeat and the offbeat, to create this nice, light, airy, bouncy sort of song. And that just gave me a visual. If you're not musical, if you can dribble a basketball, when you push the basketball down and it hits the ground, that's the downbeat. When it comes up, that's the offbeat. And that's kind of a visualization of like the different feelings of the downbeat and the offbeat. When you push the ball down and it bounces, that's heavier than when it kind of peaks up into your hand, which is the offbeat. And that is the musical or the physical representation of the musical feeling that you're feeling inside your body and you're hearing.
Yeah, much better than my bending tuba guy. That was way better.
Our powers combined. I like them both, but I'm glad that analogy worked out because it just hit me when I was talking. So that was real life. So the common rhythm. So we got the bass like bump bump bump, but there's a melody that goes on top of it, and one of the common melodies is 2/16 notes and an eighth note, 2/16 notes and an eighth note followed by 3/8 notes. So that's da 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 da. So that is going along in whatever melody is. That's a common rhythmic occurrence that's going against the bum 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 bum. And the main instrument that you kind of really have to have for polka is the accordion. I would have said the tuba as well, but apparently that is an optional instrument in this style.
No way, really?
Is
that part of the American stylizing of it?
No, this is from the scholarly article or different. A reputable source. The accordion has to be there basically.
Okay.
And but you will find a lot of tuba because it is a good brass heavy instrument. But you can have the accordion and the piano, the accordion and like a bass guitar or a double bass. But and with it being so new, relatively in the mid 1800s, we pretty much have all the instruments at this point. Like we have the saxophone. We have the clarinet that has been advanced to where it is today. We start to get guitars. In fact, some of the bands we're going to talk about later use like a rock band setup with an accordion, So the accordion is kind of like you have to have it. Otherwise, you're just kind of playing, you're playing imitation polka, You're not playing real polka.
That's so interesting to me.
I thought that was interesting. I would have for sure said accordion, tuba, and clarinet. But that's probably more like a traditional style of polka.
Well, what you described is the Polish American style polka right there, because you said trumpet, or you said clarinet, you said accordion, and so that makes sense. And maybe it's our American ears hearing that. But I would have thought the same thing. I would have totally agreed with you. So,
so let's talk about festivals, because this is a party song.
Yeah.
The polka is a party, not just like when you see party, not drinking, but like dancing. It's a fun, entertaining style of music.
Right. And so, as we were talking about earlier in the podcast, we kind of associate this with festivals. And I tried to find like some polka festivals or some like like a website that kind of made a list. There's too many. I couldn't narrow it down. And so many came up. I challenge you, listener, to go to Google and type in like Polka Festival 2022 at the time of this podcast. Good luck trying to narrow it down. Everybody has it. So instead of just wasting time listing all these, I'm just going to say we like to party with polka. We in America do enjoy our festivals that feature polka, and any Oktoberfest. We've talked about that. That's one of the highlights of my fall is going to our town's Oktoberfest. They always have killer bands, and it's always such a good time. So, which is probably, again, why we associated with Germany. But there's a lot.
And I was thinking that, like, I wonder if part of this is like a feature of where we're from and where we grew up, and Maybe. It could be totally different in like, California or the northwest part of the United States. But Ohio, Kentucky, that whole area is German heavy, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no secret that there's an Oktoberfest in every small town, right? That you can have there, and that's why like Lutheranism is one of the most popular Christian religions in that area, because they're all German people. And even down here in Dallas, I guess, there's a lot of German. We got like a little German town area around here I have not been to yet.
Yeah, we've got one here in Columbus. We've got a little German village. So
German is in that central part of the Europe, very, very important. And like you said, we like to party.
We get down.
Any Oktoberfest you got.
Yeah, we like to get down here. It's a good time. We have to name some musicians of this style. So if you go listen, I just want to say right out of the gate, I love their names. I am a person who is here for puns. I am a person who is all over that because I enjoy cheap comedy, and I will admit that freely. So some of these names really got me. There's a band called Freeze Dried. The one that sent me was Polka Floyd.
Polka Floyd. Yeah, Polka Floyd is from Toledo.
They're my new favorite thing now, then, because their name. Polkaholics. They are Berlin Speed Polka, and I just put awesome because, first of all, I don't even know where to start with how great that sentence that I just said was, because Berlin Speed Polka. I'm not saying anything better this week at all than that. Those three words in a string right there. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I sent Jeremy a video of their cover of What Does the Fox Say before we started.
So good.
Oh my gosh, was it so good? I've already started sending it to my friends. Please go look them up. They're so good. So good.
Yeah, I already sent that video to like 5 people too. So, and I'll probably send it tomorrow when we hang up.
That's why I was late to record, because I was showing it to my brother-in-law. We were dying.
Oh my gosh! All right, so this is a great, and it just goes to show, I think, that these fun names. We didn't mention Weird Al. I mean, very famous.
Talk about Weird Al. And can we just take a second too and bring up the fact that Weird Al comes up a lot in our podcast.
I know.
We really got to talk about him, because if that doesn't show how good of a musician he is. This is not the first time we've said his name on this podcast.
No. No, we are going to maybe we can get him on here. Maybe I'll ask him to come to our show.
I would lose my mind if that happened.
Yeah. So here is those are the fun names, which there are a lot of them, and they're like the best. I'm going to read. There's a website called Ranker. I'm sure some of you have heard it. You can vote and rank these people, and here's their top 10 list of top polka people. Polkaholics, number one. Then Brave Combo, Polka Side, Eddie Blazenchek, Frankie Yankovic and his Yanks, Weird Al Yankovic. Walter Ostanek, Slavko Avsenik, Jimmy Sturr, Jim Peckle. Those are the top 10. Sorry. I'm going to do one more because it's a fun name. Scherzenhager.
Wow. I'm really glad you took this segment. Okay. These languages are not my best, but good job. And I definitely want to go listen to some of these. Frankie Yankovic and his Yanks almost made me snort my coffee or my tea out of my nose.
I think he's
Holy cow.
I think he's one of the big American people that were here that kind of helped make it big here in the United States. So,
That's fantastic.
As I was thinking, as we're getting further down into this, like a lot of these are going to be, at least from our viewpoint, very American-centric, just because that's where we live or whatever. But it was kind of surprisingly hard to find a lot of music history about polka, it seems like, that wasn't tied to dance and just and on there. So some famous songs. And the other thing about these songs is there are some party songs, but the popular one, which I'll play as our intro, actually. So the song you heard is our intro, is called Roll Out the Barrel, or otherwise known as the Beer Barrel Polka. And it's basically a song that says, it's time to party, we're all here, roll out the barrels, which is roll out the beer. It's very popular. Actually, as I hear it, it's a song that I've heard on like merry-go-rounds before, so it's kind of funny to hear that song.
That's such a classic one, too. Like, I'm trying to think of the word. Are there words that, like, I don't want to sing because I don't feel well, but aren't the words roll out the barrel, we'll have a barrel of fun?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
How does that
you got it.
How does that not please you? Like, how does that not make you happy?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it is the party song. You know how like when you end the night, you have to play closing time. Closing time. You don't have to. But to start the party, you gotta kick it off with roll out the barrel. I think that's my new rules.
I like this rule. I actually am planning a party and I'm gonna put that in. Yeah, that's very good.
I love it.
I love that. That's so fun.
And so that's the most. I'm just going to put that one as the quintessential polka song that most people can approach and enjoy. There's tons of like I said, like people like Chopin and other nationalistic composers of that area and era incorporate polka into their music. So there's like a lot of actual written down. I always call it academic music, but like that. Written, composed music. But when I went to Google and typed in essential polka or top 20 polka songs, which usually like is you type in top 20 Baroque songs, and you would like get this list of things. There wasn't anything really like that, like written sheet music or anything. It was mostly like pop tunes in polka. So like pop tunes of like the one was top 50 wedding polka songs requested to get your guests dancing, or top 16 requested polka songs, and that was from like when it was like really big and people were dancing to it all the time. So it's always been a popular style of music, which I think just makes this style even more fun.
Yeah. See, again, my cold heart, like the Grinch, my heart is growing 3 times today.
And so I want to say this too. So this is like European influenced. When I moved down to Texas, we have some neighbors behind us that are always cooking out, like every other day. It's pretty cool, and they're always playing music. And they are Hispanic, and so they're playing Spanish music or Mexican music, I guess, in the Spanish language. And I always listen to it, and I say, that sounds like polka. You know what I mean? Like the other day, just yesterday, actually, I was like, that's polka music. And I started thinking about it. I used to work in Chi-Chi's, which is a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, rip
most of us probably know it
Chi-Chi's.
I know. But they pumped in Mexican music all the time, right? That was like part of the atmosphere. So I was listening to this and thinking back about that. There's a lot of polka influenced music or music influenced by polka. And I was like, why is that? Well, I learned that there is a whole genre of northern Mexican music called Norteno, which is music that was influenced by the German settlers in the 1850s. So back before Texas was its own state, the Republic of Texas, there's it was kind of undisputed territory, and then you had like Mexico taking over for a while, and then, whatever. But I guess there's a lot of German settlers in this area too, and so they brought music with them. Of course, like you were talking about earlier, you leave your country, but you bring whatever you have as a part of your culture with you. So they brought their music, and there's also a during the second reign of somebody, there was an Austrian leader. I'm not thinking of the right word; it's escaping me. But basically, he was in charge of Mexico, that territory. And his brother was the Chancellor of Austria. So, like, he brought this music with him too, and of course, required it. So now, actually, you'll hear the style of music, norteño or mariachi, is a lot of times it sounds a lot like polka because it kind of has the same roots, which I think is super cool. Like, we got polka music here.
That, first of all, that's awesome. I love any time we combine things and make them new things anyway. That's always awesome. And secondly, I want to go hang with your neighbors because if they're grilling every day, that's what I want in my life.
Dude, they party. I live in a townhome now, so we got a lot of people around us, and it is a lot of fun and a lot of good music. A lot of music I wouldn't like listen to or wouldn't have been exposed to where we were living at before. Mm-hmm. So it is a cool, and you get to tie in these cool lessons of like polka music and norteño are related. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll go talk to them about that and see if they have any interest in learning about the history of polka.
That's awesome. I would like a further study on this, please. Please go do that immediately.
I'll do it. I'm sure they'll look at me like I'm crazy. I'm sure if I brought something to grill, it's probably a better opener than, hey, did you know that norteño, the music you're listening to right now, is the same ancestry as polka music from Bohemia in Central Europe? I don't think that goes over so well.
It may not. You might want to take some food. I think food is the way in. Food's often the way in. I mean, if we're just being honest about everything, food's the way in.
Oh, my gosh.
You mentioned in the notes that polka dots were named as such because of the popularity of polka. I didn't know that at all. I mean, it makes sense to me, but I didn't know that. And there's probably a lot of groups that are called the polka dots. Like I would bet if we Google polka dot, band, we'd probably get some. I just really want to name polka bands now. That's just what I want. I really want that job.
It's like your whole identity is just maybe what you can do is you can offer up a polka naming service, put it as a website, and then license them out to people. I think you get yourself a business model.
Dude, there's my side hustle. I want it.
There we go. You heard it here first, folks.
That's my
trademark.
Gig. That's my gig. Yeah. Yep. I'm doing it.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about identity. This is kind of the last thing we'll hit on here. So this is just a preface. I'm going to read a quote directly from a scholarly source, or at least a scholarly website. This is a .edu website. But I thought this was interesting because I think earlier I said polka music is, I would have thought like Poland, or a lot of people do like associate it with Poland and stuff. But this kind of goes to show the difference between like or Polish American polka and like polka music from Poland, and kind of how there's this discrepancy and this difference between how people view the music. And this is how I'll read it. Quote, "This dance, however, is not a meaningful symbol of Polish culture for Poles from Poland, and has not been treated as an important element of Polish and Polish-American cultures by Polonian scholars who tend to emphasize, quote, high culture Polishness, end quote, symbolized by Chopin. According to Charles Keel, the Polish middle class, quote, hates polka music with a passion, end quote, end quote." So I guess scholars and the middle class of Poland do not like that polka is associated with their culture, which I think is we have it here and we just like identify it so much. The story that precedes this actually is a guy from California who says that for him and his dad that so he has Polish ancestry, that Polish Americanism to him is polka music, and he doesn't think Chopin represents his Polishness at all. And it's like kind of the opposite if you're from the other side of that equation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what to say on this part except, well, maybe you just, I don't know, you just kind of hate what's around you. That's not even the right way to say it. You want to be identified as something different, maybe. I don't know. I don't know really what to say there.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes to show that I think it shows two things. One, we all have different views of what our culture is, right? Like where we come from and how we interact with that part of our history. And two, that it could be you can't like pigeonhole one culture into one style of music or assume that everybody likes a certain style of music because it's associated with your country. I'm sure there's plenty of Poles that really enjoy polka, but the scholars don't, I guess.
Yeah, well, and scholars, sometimes scholars can have a different opinion than the masses. I don't know how, you know what I mean? And, you do get, and I'm not saying that's necessarily the case here, but sometimes elitists be elitin'. Right, like
elitist be elite.
That's a new bumper.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great point, especially in our world of music. There's oftentimes very different. But I will say, in defense of elitism, I guess, or not. But like when we think about popular music today of our culture, right? Like think about who's on our Billboard Top 10 right now, and like that is the best of the best, and people would say that music represents, America as a whole. But like, if you ask a scholar, they might say, well, American music is really like Appalachian, that type of folk music.
That's true.
It's just there is like I think there is, and this is true for all of life, and this is not just for here, but like there is a micro and a macro lens that you can look at through all of this, right? So micro would be currently what's happening now in this current area. Macro would be like, what does it represent as a whole? And I think there are people that often talk at different levels and not trying to talk to one another, So
yeah, well said.
That's my scholarly advice for today.
I really liked that. That was a good way to end. Hey, polka's fun. The end.
It's a ton of fun. Go listen. I will one more plug for Fun Polka. Go listen to the What Does the Fox Say polka cover, and then also look up Alexander Hamilton Weird Al polka version and just love your life.
Yeah, you go love your life. We can link both of those in our show notes too to where they are on the internet, but in the YouTube videos. Definitely go check it out and, just go listen to stuff. So that's usually how we end these podcasts anyway. Am I right? I mean, usually our last advice is, hey, go listen to this. So anyway, thanks for joining us for episode 13 on Polka. Don't forget, you can listen and subscribe to this podcast wherever you like. You can reach out to us, contact at allthingsmusicpodcast.com. And our website is allthingsmusicpodcast.com. So let us know if we were off the mark, on the mark. Is there a polka artist we should be checking out? We should be sharing more information. So let us know. Come talk to us because, well, just talk to us. Sometimes we just want to talk to you all. That's really pathetic and sad, but y'all know. Okay, happy polka, yay.
Bye.